hundreds of thousands protesting in multiple parts of Israel, saying that only an agreement will get those people back. The masses that are protesting in Israel are saying that, well, it's because Benjamin Netanyahu is not agreeing to have a deal that will include everyone. We are at risk of losing more people. People who were released from Gaza, Israeli prisoners of war, are saying outright in protests, 41 Israelis were killed because of our campaign in the Gaza Strip. And now they're saying this delay from Benjamin Netanyahu is causing more risk to those remaining. Einav Gauker, one of the mothers of those prisoners of war, saying he's sacrificing the hostages for the sake of fortifying his rule. And people threatening, again, many senior figures there, knowing how to disrupt. We will know how to disrupt and interrupt the routine of life that the government imagines will continue. Again, you know, the business forum in Israel threatening to have a complete strike, opposition having an alternative parliament, people threatening with more shutdowns, more people being arrested in these protests all across Israel. And they're also saying that it's not just that, you know, we need Benjamin Netanyahu to go. No, they're outright calling the American president, Donald Trump, and they're telling him that Dermer and Benjamin Netanyahu, they are fooling you. Ron Dermer, or the poodle of Benjamin Netanyahu, the yes man of Benjamin Netanyahu, he appointed as the top figure in the negotiating delegation, is in charge of the communication, of course, between Netanyahu and the Trump administration. He's going to Trump and telling him, you know, this is why we need to demand more, this is why we need a campaign, this is why we need to kill more people, for example. And Israel, with all of that, what they're trying to do, in their recent attacks in Gaza, several political members of Hamas were killed, some who are also working on the administrative side in Hamas. In an attempt of, and these people were killed in tents, by the way, in tents with their families, like all of the Gazan population. And Israel is thinking, again, that they can apply pressure on the Palestinian resistance by targeting their senior figures. And they're trying to convince the Trump administration that, no, we actually need to have something here to expel these people and have some sort of a plan for the day after. And indeed, not long went up until, well, we've had a proposal. What is this proposal? Well, this proposal, and not many people spoke about this. I haven't heard anyone speaking about it yet, but it was posted on Al-Arabi Al-Jadid, actually, saying that it was an exclusive report as well. I haven't seen anyone on YouTube speak about it yet. They're saying that Hamas accepted a truce proposal, the truce proposal from Egypt, but they rejected an offer from the United States. So what was this offer from the United States? This offer from the United States was quite a lucrative offer, according to this report. Again, that was exclusive to Al-Arabi Al-Jadid. They said that actually Hamas, they received offers from the United States administration. The offer stipulated that the movement's military council leadership would leave the Gaza Strip, accompanied by their families with substantial wealth benefits, housing abroad, and guarantees that they would not be targeted. Wink, wink, right? Not be targeted. According to the source, the offer included battalion commanders and first-line leaders. So you're talking about Al-Qassam brigades, as in, you know, not just Hamas, the political party. within the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigade's first-line commanders in exchange for financial deposits worth nearly $2 billion US. $2 billion US. The United States is offering Al-Qassam Brigade's commanders only for them to leave Gaza. Look, we'll give you nice villas or mansions wherever you want, guarantees that you won't be touched, but please leave Gaza. As if these people who have sacrificed already so far, are gonna, accept anything as such. And we'll get to the response of Hamas, by the way. The armed wing doesn't even bother to respond to such things, by the way. It's some of the political figures who responded. And even then, to them, that's like ridiculous. But anyway, and the money, according to that report, will be distributed among them according to their military rank. And the first person would be the brother of Yahya Sinwar. The identity of the financiers, according to this report, of the American proposal is unclear, according to information, but the indications point to regional parties. The American side also stipulated that the leaders to be excluded should include Muhammad Sinwar, brother of Yahya Sinwar, Muhammad Shabbana, the commander of the Rafah Brigade, and Izz ad-Din al-Haddad, the commander of the Gaza Brigade. The proposal also included financial estimates for the movement in exchange for the weapons it would relinquish. So again, they're offering them some money for the weapons as well. We'll buy them off you, including all of the movement's heavy and personal weapons. According to the information, Hamas rejected the offer, which came coupled with measures to include the declaration to surrender, an admission of defeat after the Israeli occupation army failed to defeat the resistance on the ground during the war. And according to this report as well, the decision to reach the offer came from the military council of the Al-Qassam Brigade's leaders, who affirmed their adherence to the resistance, declared conditions for complete withdrawal from the occupation from Gaza and the end of the war, and their readiness to include a truce that includes Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. Now, I haven't heard any leader from the armed wing say anything, but what I did hear is people from the political wing saying something. So, and again, this report is exclusive to Al-Arab Al-Jadid. And what they did say is, the arms of the Palestinian resistance is not like a red line, it's 1,000 red lines. And the argument of the Palestinian resistance and the armed resistance like Hamas is, firstly, the resistance is beyond Hamas. Hamas isn't the only resistance. And even if Hamas is not there, the resistance is bigger than them, because it's a concept that encompasses Palestinian people. People believe in that concept of resistance because there are reasons for that resistance. These reasons exist. So long as those reasons exist, the resistance will exist to these reasons: the occupation, brutality, genocide, inequality, ethnic cleansing, all of these things. So it's like non-negotiable to them. And according to the same leaders of Hamas, one of them was Sami Abu Zuhri, his name is, if you're interested, he said actually that the talks about disarming Hamas, they weren't actually on the table. They weren't on the table before, but now Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to add them into the negotiations. So according to those Hamas leaders, they're saying talks were previously there in the media, but not within the negotiators, because they knew it's a joke. But now actually Benjamin Netanyahu had the audacity to start adding these things onto the negotiating table. Again, as an attempt coming from Benjamin Netanyahu to have more further delays. Okay. Of course, he can dream on. It isn't going to happen, by the way. Not from Hamas or any of the other resistance movements in Gaza. And like Hamas themselves confirm, even if Hamas is not there, and even if some people hand in, and that's not going to happen again, other people will pop up. It's as simple as that. The people who did that before were some members of the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. And look at what happened in the West Bank. If these people give up their arms in Gaza, they will feel more at liberty liberty to continue with the genocide and even more atrocities and more humiliation against the Palestinian population inside of Gaza. And again, if you look at the West Bank, it's one of the best examples, really, if not the best example, of how the Israeli occupation and the Israeli mindset works. It's not there just against people, it's there as a racist campaign, a campaign of racism, of supremacy, of oppression, of apartheid, of inequality. It doesn't matter if the people are armed or not armed. People, every day we see videos coming from the West Bank. Today there was a video posted about a guy going into a shop, a bakery, beating these workers up for no reason whatsoever. Not armed, no nothing. People leaving their house only to return to their house to find squatters, Zionist squatters trying to steal their house, killing every single day, kidnapping, all of that. That's the West Bank, that's not Gaza. So, of course, from the Palestinian resistance perspective, it isn't going to happen. But what did happen is, well, there was a declaration from the top figure now in Hamas, Al-Hayya, Khalil Al-Hayya, who said that, we accepted an offer that came from Egypt. They didn't specify a lot about this offer from Egypt, though, and they didn't talk a lot about details. But what we understood from the talks that are circulating about the proposal being accepted from the Egyptian side in relation to the ceasefire, not, of course, the $2 billion from the United States, that was outright rejected. It spoke about the release of 5 prisoners of war in exchange for another 50 days of a ceasefire, more work towards phase 2, towards the declaration of the end of the war, and all of the things that the Gazans need. Now, Israel is trying to explain that as a move from more leniency from Hamas because of the violent, abhorrent terror attacks of Israel inside of Gaza. In reality, nothing really has changed. Hamas accepted the Witkoff proposal before. They said they will release 1 Israeli the first day, and then they will release a further more. Likewise now, whether it's going to be on the first day or the other day, whatever it is, these are small details, because the more people Israel wants to be released, the more the Palestinian side would want an exchange at that time. And now already we have simultaneous swaps. We don't have the Palestinian side releasing and then waiting for Israel, because Israel breached so many times. And also the Palestinians offered Israel from a long time ago already, after 7th of October, we will have an all for all. It's Israel that's refusing an all for all. It's Israel that's always delaying. It's Netanyahu constantly causing problems. And that's why they have so many problems against them. This means that, well, the Egyptians are active on that front, and they are somehow managing to come up with certain successes that are convincing Hamas, convincing the United States, and making Israel, leading Israel to have cabinet meetings to talk about them. And that's not just coming as an effort from Egypt here, it's coming because of the internal pressure against Benjamin Netanyahu. We spoke earlier in this live stream about the level of criticism, the numbers that are rising, the additional violence coming from the Israeli police against the protesters, and the more rising calls for Benjamin Netanyahu to completely be off the scene now. We don't want you anymore altogether, and calling for new elections. Another thing that might push Benjamin Netanyahu, that's something that I spoke about a week or 2 ago when we were talking about the prospects of the outcomes now after this Israeli escalation, and trying to understand why Benjamin Netanyahu started to escalate. Well, a reason or several reasons why Benjamin Netanyahu might actually decide to slightly de-escalate after this is the fact that he already, on a narrow political and selfish interest, well, the interest that he always operates on, this psychopathic murderer, he gained. How did he gain? Well, as soon as he started murdering Palestinian children, Ben Gvir returned. these sickos, they like to see the suffering of the Palestinians. So this sicko returned to the government, and the sicko war minister today, he was showing him, flicking his phone, showing him in the Israeli Knesset, caricatures of him, bulldozing Palestinian homes and being proud of himself. These people are absolutely mental. They're sick people, I'm telling you. So he went back to the government. That meant that Benjamin Netanyahu has a majority. He will be passing the budget. That budget was the biggest threat of Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, because he wanted to secure it. If he didn't secure the majority in his government for the budget, his government would collapse. So Ben Gvir now saved him. Again, he did not want to rely on a fake safety net of the opposition that he knew will take him down immediately after he agrees to end the war. He wanted the demented psychopaths like him to be in the government. So he got Ben Gvir back, and he took away the leverage of the orthodox political parties, religious orthodox political parties, not the religious Zionist parties, ultra-orthodox, from having more leverage. And that put them in a weaker position, and he is clearly coming up with a solution for them so that they are not obliged to serve in the army. And again, that's another thing that is causing more problems internally in Israel, because the opposition is saying, well, you're giving these people an exemption when we are dying, and that's why more people are refusing to serve in the war, and more people are refusing to serve now, by the way, and publicly based on moral reasons. Now they're saying, oh no, actually we are committing crimes. Now we're realizing that we were committing this crime, we don't want to continue committing them, and we're not going to serve in Gaza. It's as simple as that. That's becoming more mainstream, and that's problematic. So how will Netanyahu diffuse that? After he achieved all of his political objectives, he passed the judicial reform, he secured the majority for the government for the future and for the short term, so he can pass the budget, and he dealt with the problem of the Orthodox Jews and the budget for them too, without forcing them to go into the army. But he wouldn't want the protests to continue against him, and he would want to de-escalate. Therefore, that would allow him to have some sort of quiet for some time, for the time being, because this man is Netanyahu, by the way, he's dragging the world because of his psychopathy, dragging the whole region into wars because of his psychopathy. The more people are suffering the most are the people in Gaza, and then in the West Bank. But those in Gaza are suffering the most because of political reasons for Benjamin Netanyahu, and the United States in the background is enabling that. Netanyahu's traditional allies as well. It's as if nothing is happening, but that could make him de-escalate, especially seeing as his best chance of an escalation or a short-term escalation, which would be with Lebanon, is failing. Hezbollah told him today, it's not us. Yesterday they said it wasn't us. We're not launching missiles from Lebanon. The Lebanese government, it's not us as well. Hezbollah are saying, though, the government doesn't have a lot of time to try and deal with this, and soon our patience will run out. But clearly they're still giving them time. They were hoping by attacking the southern suburb of Beirut, all of a sudden Hezbollah will come up with this irrational response all of a sudden. They think that other players operate like them. Israel carried out this whole campaign, this whole genocide based on an emotional basis, anger, rage, murderous behavior. Nothing logical about it, nothing strategic about it. There's nothing that they actually achieved to get their military objectives, by the way. They're very, very far from achieving any of their military objectives. And this is the progress so far. And that means that, well, there's a good likelihood that there could be a slight de-escalation, but that de-escalation will not be a satisfying or a confidence-inspiring de-escalation. Why? Because, well, Netanyahu is going to have this de-escalation. After a while, he'll think, okay, we've done the 40 or 50 days. It's time to escalate to something else, because I want to drag all of this up until 2026, unless, that is, he reaches an agreement with the same recipe that he has now, including Ben Gvir, that we can end the war and you remain in the government. But these people, they don't look like they will stay in the government, especially Ben Gvir, if Netanyahu ends the war. If Netanyahu ends the war with Israel, and not like eliminating Hamas or all of that talk, he's going to resign again, which means Netanyahu might go on a shorter ceasefire now, only to later on escalate again, to show that, oh no, this war is continuing and we're talking about a long-term campaign.